now joining us. He does a great job, NFL on Fox, Breakfast Ball on FS1. It's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Mark Schlereth. Mark, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
I've been good, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So let me start you off at the AFC Championship game first. There's many different ways that we could go. What was your biggest takeaway in Chiefs-Bills Part 4, where once again Kansas City gets the job done?
Well, I mean, ultimately for me, it's in critical moments, whether it's coaching staff decisions, game planning decisions, execution by players. The Chiefs are just a better football team. There is nobody in critical moments that execute better than the Kansas City Chiefs. And like I said, from a coaching staff standpoint, all the way down to every player on that roster, they play with disciplined style. They make sure that they, keep all their things, their ducks in a row, so to speak. And they just go out there and they make the plays that have to be made. And you look at the end of that game, like I said from day one, as long as the Bills have an opportunity at the end of this game to possess the ball and get a victory, man, I'm great, regardless of the officiating, regardless of what I think. And listen, the officiating didn't change the fact that the Bills had the ball with 2:33 left in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to tie with a field goal or win this game with a touchdown and leave no time on the clock, and they couldn't get either of those things done. And then defensively, they had an opportunity to stop the Kansas City Chiefs, got them on a 3rd and 9 with over a minute left to play, I believe, and they couldn't get the stop. The completion to P. Ryan that went for 17 yards on a 3rd down and 9, and ultimately the Chiefs made the plays that had to be made, and the Buffalo Bills flat out couldn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to make that stop. I think it's something that's not getting talked about enough because almost everyone thought the game was just over when Kincaid couldn't reel in that catch on 4th down, but there was still time left. The other thing that confuses me here is James Cook, I thought, was the Bills' best player, period, in the game yesterday, and that's also incorporating Josh Allen. I know Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded head coach, but how does he not tell his coaching staff to get the ball more to James Cook or at least have him on the field? That was weird to me with how he was playing.
Yeah, he had him on the field, but not on the first down. The first down carry, the one carry. Now they had put a drive together that I think was 11 carries that scored a touchdown, and put the Bills up in the third quarter there, or put them within a field goal, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact score, but the bottom line is when they had the ball last and they had an opportunity to win that game with a score or at least tie it up with a field goal, the first carry didn't go to James Cook. Went to a backup running back in Ty Johnson, and he got -1, and then you're behind the chains. Now, Josh Allen scrambled, but the next couple of series or the next couple of plays, James Cook was in the backfield, but he never touched the ball. And so you got away from running the football. You started throwing the football, and then the mistakes that were made. First and foremost, like there was a 2nd down play to Shakir that I think maybe it was a 1st down play where they're running a bubble screen and go, and they get the perfect defense for it. They get a split high safety with the Shakir on the middle linebacker, and he stops the route, and it's a touchdown. Or it's a big play over the top because you're matched up. Now, they were in dime, so the middle linebacker was a DB. But you're matched up with a little middle linebacker with a split safety look. So you're basically one-on-one with that guy. And Josh Allen throws it deep, and you could see him just going, what are you doing? Like, why would you stop that route? And so there's that mistake. And then there's the 4th down and 5. You mentioned the drop by the tight end. But ultimately, there's sliding protection to the left. So that's where you're protected. They bring the corner blitz off the right-hand side. It's a zone blitz. The 3rd down was an all-out zero blitz. It was full-out, 7-man pressure. But that was a zone blitz. So you're bringing 5. You're playing zone behind it. And Shakir comes in motion, little fake orbit back out on a swing pass. And if you just slide away from the blitz, like that's the guy you're going to see. And they don't have it covered. Like it's wide open. And the rest is history. You don't make the plays you need to make in those clutch, critical situations, and Kansas City does, and that's the difference in the game.
I get it, Mark Schlereth, right? It's Spagnuolo, Reed, Mahomes, Kelsey. We can go on and on and on. And, hey, it's what the Patriots did for years, but there were even years where the Patriots didn't win it all. At this rate with the Bills, now losing 4 times in the postseason, do you think I think Sean McDermott's a good coach. He's done a really good job in Buffalo. Do you think it's just time to move on and get a new voice in there?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't necessarily think that, but I mean, ultimately, ultimately, you're talking about, ownership in Kansas City. You're talking about Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, two of the best coaches in football. And you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, and so, I mean, you look at the numbers, and Josh Allen in the playoffs and Patrick Mahomes are 1 and 2 in just about every discernible category. The bottom line is, in critical moments, Patrick Mahomes makes the plays, and Josh Allen hasn't, and so. There were a lot of things that mistake wise in that particular contest. Like we talked about, James Cook doesn't get the ball. I thought chasing points early was a bad mistake and ultimately cost him. And it's easy to sit there and say that, but it's the tush push, and you don't have big guys pushing on Josh Allen. And so there's a couple of tush pushes that you don't get. Like at some point, you got to get away from it if you're not executing it. If they're out executing you on the defensive side of the ball, and yet you just keep going back to it. I know it was successful, but the one fourth down conversion they did was at a shotgun where Josh Allen took off and scrambled, had his back to it, and kind of rolled over the first down yardage marker. So there's just a series of decisions made from a coaching staff standpoint that ultimately fall on Sean McDermott, but they're on the offensive coordinator, they're on the execution of the offense, they're on everybody. So I just think it's oversimplification to say, hey, let's fire Sean McDermott because his voice doesn't resonate. He got to an AFC championship. They're in the playoffs every year. They were an outstanding football team all season long. So in those critical moments against the Chiefs, they just haven't found a way to get over the top.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think they're moving on from Sean McDermott, but I was sitting on my couch yesterday, and I was saying, man, you got Bill Belichick at UNC. I was saying the Bills should have hired him last year. If you're trying to go slay this dragon, I kind of wish that Bill was coaching the Buffalo Bills next season, Mark.
Yeah, well, I can understand it. I mean, I understand it, but ultimately, like I said, there's something about the Chiefs, the way they play, their ability to execute in those critical moments, and they're just the best in the National Football League when it comes to that. And obviously, we've got Super Bowl 59 in this matchup, a rematch of Super Bowl 57. But you look at it, and I can make a compelling argument that in every position other than quarterback, the Philadelphia Eagles are better. Like they've got a deeper, better roster than the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, come critical times, like who do I trust? I trust Patrick Mahomes. I trust Andy Reid. I trust Spagnuolo more than I trust the Philadelphia Eagles.
So do you think that means, I know it's early, still got 2 weeks to talk about this. Are you saying then that you think the Chiefs are going to get this done in three-peat?
I hope not. I mean, listen, man. I mean, I'm a guy. I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the 7 teams that had back-to-back championships, and so ultimately, selfishly, I don't want to see them three-peat. I don't want to see them be the only team that was able to come up with a three-peat. But with that said, it's absolutely remarkable. You think about this. Since 2018, they've played 20 playoff games. So since 2018, they've got over a full season of playoff games under their belt. So just the battle of attrition that is the National Football League and losing players. Hey, Tyreek Hill goes off to Miami. Oh, how are they going to ever replace that? Oh, they find a way to get it done. They change their offense. They go from a three wide set to more of a two tight end base formation set. Last year, Pacheco was big. Rashee Rice was their number one receiver. He gets hurt. They move on from Rashee and they find a different way to get it done. Yesterday, Pacheco had like 6 carries. He was a star in the playoffs last year. So they just find a way to get it done, regardless of what they have. They find a way to put their players in the best possible position to have success, and those guys thrive in it.
And what's amazing, right? And I know it's a longer sample size of Brady and Belichick, but there were years, right, where Rodgers broke through, Peyton Manning broke through, Drew Brees, right? You could go on and on and on with some of the great quarterbacks. In this stretch, even when Burrow breaks through, he can't win the big game. How you have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, still with 0 Super Bowl titles. The Niners with 2 10-point leads, you can't get the job done. And now the Eagles, they have their chance their second time around. It's amazing how outside of Brady, right, and Burrow that 1 year, no one's really been able to put the nail in this Chiefs coffin.
Yeah, they've been amazing. In the last 7 years, they've had the best stretch in National Football League history as far as wins and playoff wins and Super Bowls and all those things. So yeah, it's remarkable what they've been able to do. And obviously it's having Patrick Mahomes. And then you look at the AFC right now, you mentioned it with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa and all the great quarterbacks that are out there, Lamar Jackson, all the great, like none of them, like there is, if you're putting tiers together, there's Patrick Mahomes, and then there's the rest of the elite quarterbacks. And it just until somebody can break through and somebody can unseat Lamar, or excuse me, Patrick Mahomes, like what are you going to do? Like it's the Chiefs are just that good.
Yeah, and obviously Mahomes is one, and then you can rank 2, 3, 4, however you want, but it has to be in whatever order: Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. Then you get to the fifth spot. Like, is Jalen Hurts, in your opinion, the best quarterback in the NFC? Is he the fifth best quarterback in football, in your opinion?
No, probably not. But what they ask him to do, he's exceptional at. And I think yesterday was a big eye-opening experience, having the knee injury and doing all the things that kind of went wrong toward the end of the season with the concussion issue in week 16, and then really not playing great football throughout the entirety of the two playoff games they had, the Green Bay game and then last week. And yet in the NFC Championship game, they ask him to execute 4th down and 5, throws a dime piece down the sideline to A.J. Brown, 3rd down and 6 with a shallow cross, throws it to Devontae Smith, runs for a touchdown. I mean, I thought he was top notch. He was incredible. And I'd make the same argument last week is that the Eagles were better in every position other than the quarterback because Jaden Daniels had been playing the best quarterback like of anybody in the NFC. That's why they got there. And yet Hurts outplayed him. There's no question. So just an amazing, amazing performance by him. Amazing performance in the running game. Amazing performance using multiple centers during the course of that game because of injury to the starting center, Cam Jurgens. Landon Dickerson slides over. Backup left guard comes in. I mean, to be able to do that and execute and continue to do what they did in the running game and continue to protect Jalen Hurts, it's pretty amazing, all things considered.
And you also factor in, right, when you talk about Kansas City, right, they lost Tyreek Hill, and they've still won back-to-back Super Bowls since then. You look at the Eagles from an offensive line perspective, they're amazing across the board, but they're back in the Super Bowl after losing Jason Kelce to retirement.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And Jurgens has done a great job. And you just hope that everybody's healthy, with this extra week to prepare for this game. But it's a remarkable matchup. There's no question. And like I said, I think roster construction wise, I think Philadelphia Eagles are the best roster in football, and I think they're better than Kansas City. And I think they've got a better offensive line. I think they've got a better, wide receiver, tight end combination, the threesome of AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert over that of Kansas City. So I think that would give the lean, obviously, to the Philadelphia Eagles. The running back, there's no question, and Saquon Barkley, he gets the lean. Defensive line, I'd give it to Philly. Even linebacking core, I would give it to Philly the way Zach Vaughn has played this year. And secondary, with the three corners they have, nobody's been better than Mitchell all season long, the rookie. And then you still have, Darius Slay, big play Slay is a great player. There's no question he's still good. And Cooper DeJean, that guy's been amazing. And so, I would probably give the lean, although that's close to, Kansas City secondary, but I'd probably give the lean there too. But with that said, the great equalizer is Andy Reid from a coaching standpoint, Steve Spagnuolo from a coaching standpoint, and obviously Patrick Mahomes.
If Mahomes wins this one and they three-peat, right now I think he's the third greatest quarterback of all time. Montana and Brady are in front of him. I think the next Super Bowl, I know it's 4-4, but I would put him past Montana. Would you put him past Brady with this one, or is it still Brady 1 and then Mahomes 2 if you agree with that?
Well, I still think you have to go Brady with 7 rings total, right?
And beating him twice in the playoffs.
Right, and doing it, in 2 different franchises. But man, this is the greatest run, probably the greatest 3-year run we've ever had, and it's the greatest 7-year run in the history of the National Football League, which is flat out incredible as far as I'm concerned. So, nothing but admiration. Do I like the Chiefs? No, I can't stand them. But do I respect the hell out of them? Yeah, you're damn right I do.
When we get to the hiring cycle, Mark Schlereth, 6 hires have been made. You still got the Saints job out there. What do you think is the best hire so far out of the 6?
I think Ben Johnson in Chicago, I think it was the best job available. I think they've got the most talent, the most talent roster. They've got a young, talented quarterback that just needs to be groomed, needs to be coached. Ben Johnson's a hell of a football coach. And, I think what he's done in Detroit speaks for itself. He's a smart dude, having talked to him several times. I think he's top notch, and I think he'll take a lot from Dan Campbell. He'll be his own man, but a lot from Dan Campbell on how to put a team together and how to coach a team. So I think that's the best hire of all the hires right now. I will tell you, I like Liam Cohen in Jacksonville because I think Jacksonville's got a quarterback that has shown at times he can play really exceptional football. Has lost his way a little bit occasionally. But remember, just 2 years ago in the 2023 season, the Jacksonville Jaguars started out at 8-3, and then they collapsed and fell apart. So if you can get that kind of steady play from him defensively, I think they've drafted well. I think they've got a pretty outstanding defense. So I think they've got a chance to be good, and that division is not very good. So I think Liam Cohen goes into a good situation, and I think he's a heck of a football coach. So it'll be interesting to watch exactly how that plays out. But if you press me, I'd have to say Ben Johnson.
All right, last thing I'll ask you, I just want to get your media take on this because you're so diverse, right? Doing breakfast ball on TV on FS1, doing the NFL games on Fox. You still do radio, obviously. In Denver, when Brady replaced Greg Olsen for that one spot, there was a lot of criticism of it. And I said, hey, to get Brady in a big game, no offense to Greg Olsen, I think he's really good. Brady calling him a home Super Bowl would be unbelievable, especially what Mahomes is chasing. It's Brady. Just how about that in 2 weeks with the Super Bowl being on Fox to get Brady calling Mahomes' game when Mahomes is trying to continue to build that legacy to surpass Brady?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I enjoyed the broadcast last week. So, yeah, it's big time. I mean, Tom Brady is the best that's ever played the game, and so I understand the insight there. I understand how difficult the job is. Right? I mean, I get it. It's not an easy job to do, but I think he's done a good job.
He's Mark Schlereth. Make sure you check him out in the mornings with Breakfast Ball with Danny Parkins and Craig Carden. You can catch him also all throughout the NFL season and also his local radio show on 104.3 The Fan in Denver. Mark, appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.